there, it's Kelly, your tech savvy business mentor here. And today, what I wanted to show you is how to create a basic cross board automation. So, let's say, for example, you had a collaborative board that you were working on with a team, and you wanted to take the things that are on your task list and copy them over to your primary board that you use to see what your daily tasks are. So the way that you would do that, you're actually going to do it from the board that the task shows up on first. So if it's a team board or a shared board, you're going to create the automation on that shared board. So we're going to go into automations, into rules, and we're going to stay in the rules section as far as how we're going to trigger. So we're going to hit create rule. And our trigger is going to be, we're talking about when a card is added to the board. Wouldn't matter who added it to the board. That's what this tag would do, because in theory, whoever is assigning it to you, you would want it to show up on that other board, right? But what you do want to do is decide what cards, because you don't want every card added to this board to show up on your to-do list. So depending on how your board is set up, if you have an entire list the way that I did, that it was, a my tasks kind of list, then you would be able to say when a card is added to, and then just choose that list name and hit the plus sign. And that would be all you'd need to do to filter which tasks actually move over. But let's say, for example, it was not your own list. Let's say it was a shared tasks list, right? You would want to filter it down to say that it was assigned to you. Okay. And that you would add this by adding this little plus sign, which would add this filter to the automation so that it would make sure that only your tasks will show up over on your other board. But because we don't need that here, we have a specific list for just my tasks. I'm going to take that away. I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus sign to create my trigger. So you can see when a card is added to the list, Kelly's tasks, then now we're going to create the action. So I want to move it over to my hot list here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and not move it. I said move it, but actually what I want to do is copy it, because realistically, I need it to still show up on that shared board, right? So I'm going to actually switch this from move to copy. And then in this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose the bottom of the list because I want it to show up underneath my dash card, and you'll see why. Also, before you choose your list name, see if I were to click on list name here, it's only going to give me the options that are on the board that it's starting on, right? So I have to actually choose the board first. So here's where I'm going to choose the board. And then now that I've done that, when I come into the list name, now you'll see all the list choices have changed, and now my hot list shows up. Now we have a couple other options we can do on this action. So this one is deciding whether or not it's going to bring any of the comments that might be on this card. That's really subjective. So if you need the comments, include them. If you don't, then click it to get rid of those comments. And then there's this option, which is to link the cards together. So linking the cards together, it doesn't actually sync it, unfortunately. It's just making them easy to navigate between them back and forth. So it still might be handy for you, but just keep in mind that it doesn't automatically mean that if you do something or mark something on the card on one board, it's going to automatically transfer to the other. So just keep that in mind. So then if we wanted to add a due date to that card on the hot list, we would have two ways of doing it. You can either create an automation, a secondary automation on your other board, the board where it's going, to say, hey, when a new card shows up on this list, add this due date, something like that. But because we like to keep it as simple as possible, we're just going to go ahead and add it to the same rule. So if we go here and we select dates, and then we come down to set due date, let's say we automatically want anything on that list to be due in 3 days. We'll go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to choose a time. Not that this really matters a ton unless it's really time specific, but I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. We hit our plus sign, hit the blue plus sign, and then this is our automation. So what we're expecting to happen here is when I add a test card to the Kelly's tasks list, we're going to go over to the hot list on the other board. we're going to see at the bottom of the list a new card added that's a copy of the one that I create. And the cards are going to be linked together. Keeping in mind, it doesn't mean that they're synced. So you're still going to have to update on both cards if you're trying to put information on them. It's not going to automatically do that. And we're going to see that the due date is set 3 days in the future on my other board. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit save. And then let's go create our test card. So let's say test task. So I'm going to hit enter. It's going to create it. And I'm going to come over here. And we're going to see test task. You can see right here, this little one with the little Trello logo is indicating that there's a Trello attachment. In this case, it's a card. And then we've also got our due date right here of April 19th. So that's how you would create a cross-board automation to share something like your own tasks from a team board to your own personal dashboard that you run your day-to-day from. If you like this video, please make sure you hit that like button and click subscribe so I can keep making videos like this. And if there's anything that you want to learn, especially when it comes to Trello, let me know in the comments. The online tools for your business do not need to be complicated or overwhelming. It's time to let it be easy.